Hello, welcome back. Now, since we know how the Yum architecture is set up, the client and the server side, we are going to see now how to do the actual configuration. As usual, I have a file here for our discussion. Yellow dog update modifier client configuration. So the first point is something that we have already seen. What is exactly this yellow dog update or modifier is? It is a server side configuration which resolves two important things. One is it creates a central repository in your organization of all the RPMs, and then not only that, it resolves all the dependencies. If you have any experience installing an RPM package only using the RPM command, then you will realize how difficult it is to install that RPM if it has any dependencies. So there are only two ways to install the RPM package. One is using the RPM command and another is using the yum command. So our focus is actually to go and do it using the yum command. So this is something that we have already understood now. Now we're going to see the remaining topics, which are what is the configuration directory on the client side. The clients are those that I showed you in our previous video, the colored box on the left hand side. So what is the client configuration directory? The directory is etc yum.repos.d. You have to memorize this directory. If you forget this, you will have trouble finding out or doing the client configuration. So it is in the etc yum.repos.d, and in that directory we will create one file which I will show you in a minute. And then the configuration parameters in that file which we are going to create, there are three main configuration parameters that you will have to memorize. Number one is the name, another one is the base URL, and third one is the Gpg check. If by any chance if you forget, there is obviously the help, which is man page of yum.conf. So these are the topics that we are going to talk about in this section. And finally, once the client configuration is done, we are going to actually see how to test and how to install the client. So now this is what I'm going to discuss right now. So let us start with this thing, etc yum.repos.d. So I'm going to go to that directory now. Clear. In fact, I am already in that directory, etc yum.repos.d. There are certain files in this directory already. And as you can see, there is a file called a shaker. There is a file called as this thing, package kit. So let us not worry about those files. We are going to create a brand new file. Let us say the name of this file is rhcsa. The file name can be anything. The extension must be repo. Okay, let me repeat. File name can be anything. The extension must be repo. So this is the file that we are going to create, and these are the sections in this file. The section can be anything. Again, we will call this maybe rhcsa. Maybe that is good enough. Then, as I mentioned already, there is one important configuration parameter called as name, and the second one is the base URL. So let us start with name. Name is equal to, you can give any name, rhcsa repository. Okay, rhcsa repository. Then the next, which is the most important parameter, is the base URL. This base URL is the parameter that I'm going to write, which is going to be the name of the server and the directory of that server and the protocol. As I already mentioned to you, there could be two protocols, either the HTTP or the FTP, and based on how your Yum server is configured, whether it's an HTTP or an FTP, you are going to properly put a protocol. So this is the syntax. Let us assume that we have an FTP protocol. The name of the server, let us say abc or maybe ftp.abc.com. This is the name of the Yum server, and on that server we have a directory called as dir1. This is the syntax. If the Yum server is configured with the FTP protocol, If the Yum server is configured with the HTTP protocol, then the only thing which will change is this, and obviously the names and everything has to be correct. This is all case sensitive, so make sure that you don't type a capital DIR or lowercase dir. So this is something which is most important thing, and this information is usually given to you in your certification exam. Pay attention to that. Make sure you are able to ping that machine. If you are unable to ping that machine, then doesn't matter how properly you configure the client repository, Yum repository, you will not be able to connect to the server, and you will not be able to install any package. So now I'm going to actually put a base URL from University of Texas. That is what I'm going to do, and I know that I'm connected to the internet right now, and therefore this repository will work. This is the correct repository, and then once the repository name is there, this is the directory name on that University of Texas server. The protocol that I'm using in is HTTP. Let me make sure that I have no typos there. Okay, this is not required. And then finally the third one, which is also an important parameter, is called as a Gpg check. Now what is this Gpg check parameter? Gpg check is equal to 0. Now 0 is disable and 1 is enable. So I'm going to disable the Gpg check. It means that whatever package is going to be downloaded from this Yum server, I'm not going to check the validity or the signature of that package. If I need to check that package, then I need to if I need to check the validity or the signature of that package, I need to put this as 1. And but when I do that, I also need some other parameters, which are the public key of Gpg parameters, and we don't have that public key here, so I'm gonna make sure that I'm not going to check that signature. So it is disabled. Gpg check is disabled, and this is our configuration now. So again, remember, there is a section which has a name, and then there is a name. I'm gonna give a name. Actually, let me give some meaningful name. I'm gonna give a name of University of Texas repository, and the base URL has to be accurate, and Gpg check is turned off. It is disabled. So I'm going to save this file now, and as I said, the name can be anything, but the extension is repo, and my client configuration is done. Now let us go back to this. As I said, the base URL can be either HTTP or FTP. Now if you have internet at your home, and if you are doing this at your home, Red Hat has its own Yum repository configured. This is the name of that repository, so you can put it over there, and then actually you can get the information from there also. And now, as I said, if you by any chance forget the actual names of these parameters, then you will be in big trouble. What should you do? You should do man yum.conf, and here in that, if you go at the bottom, let me go directly at the bottom, you will see a section for these. It's a big man page. You will see a section for I think I missed it. Let me search. It is base URL. Okay, so base URL. Where is it? Base URL is very important, and Gpg check is also something that we have seen here, and then above that it would be the actual name, which will be here, I guess. Base URL is also, it has an example of base URL if it has a password, but forget about that. Name. So name, base URL, and Gpg check. So remember these things, or go to the man page. So now we have configured the client of Yum, and now we are ready to install. So I'm going to install certain package. Before that, or I will let me directly install it. Install, and which one should I install? Nmap is one package which has the ability to scan some ports. So let us see how we do it. It is saying that I'm getting all the information from this repository. It is downloading the information of that repository first. Once the information of the repository is downloaded, then it will, this is only the first time. Once it is downloaded, then the next installations are quicker. My internet connection is kind of slow right now, so it has downloaded 80% of the file, which is the dependency related file, and now it will start installing the Nmap package. Okay, now as you can see, it is resolving the dependencies, which is the most important thing from my point of view, the advantage of using Yum. Obviously there are no dependencies there. That is a different thing. Now Nmap is the only software that, or the package, that will get installed. The size is the total downloaded size is 2.2. After untarring it, it will be 7.2. so I'm gonna say yes, and the package will be now downloaded. So the first download was just downloading the repository because we were doing it for the first time, and now the actual package is getting downloaded. Once it is getting downloaded, now it will get installed, and it is quick. As you can see, the version of the package is 5.21.4, and come on. Okay, finally it is complete. The Nmap, this is the name of the package, it is installed, and now I can see that Nmap is installed. It is inside in the USR bin directory, and I can check now what is the Nmap for. Nmap is to check which ports are open. So now I'm going to find out which ports are open on my machine. 192.168.0.3 is my IP address. So I'm going to check which ports are maybe not 1.3. It is 1. Oh, okay, hold on. Let me find out what my IP address is. My IP address is 1.3, and I'm typing something incorrect. Nmap 192.168.1.3. Now as you can see, these are all the ports that are open. I'm running an HTTP server. I'm running a MySQL server. Even though I acted as, my machine acted as a client, it is running an HTTP server, and all these services are running. So this is the purpose of the Nmap command. You can use it to scan the ports on any of the different machines. So let us say I do it for another machine which is which seems to be down, maybe another machine which seems to be up, maybe, yeah, and on that machine I have these different packages installed. So in summary, what should you do? You should create a file called as something.repo in this directory, and in that file you should have a name which can give anything, and base URL. Don't make a mistake in typing base URL, and Gpg check. Once that is done, you can just test it by installing the actual any software, and that's it. You will need to do this thing in the certification probably, and then in that situation you will be able to install all the necessary software that are required. You may install, you may require kernel software, kernel RPM. You may require a software or the RPM for a web server, the FTP server, the commands like this. These commands will not be installed. Commands like Nmap, these will not be installed on your base machine, and therefore you must configure the Yum client for your convenience. You can do this using RPM, but I highly recommend that you do the Yum client configuration. The information of the server will be given to you in the certification exam. So I hope you have understood the Yum client configuration. The most important thing, if you miss this thing, you will be probably flunking on 4 or 5 different questions, because you will not be able to install anything properly. So now I will see you in the next